So get this, y'all. Remember that post I made 3 weeks ago about my now ex Jake saying I was too boring in front of all our friends at that pool party at Todd's place? Yeah, well, buckle up, buttercups, because this ride just got way more interesting. Picture this. We'd been together for 4 years. 4 years. Living together for 2 in this cute little apartment in downtown Portland. I thought we were solid, you know? I was saving up for our future, being responsible, adulting the heck out of life. Meanwhile, Mr. You're So Boring was out there living like he's still in his frat boy era at 27. The party that started it all was your typical Saturday night at Todd's. You know Todd's parties, kegs on the patio, that ridiculous inflatable hot tub he got from Costco, and enough solo cups to build a small fort. I was chilling with the girls, sipping my White Claw, watermelon flavor if you must know, when I see Jake doing body shots with this blonde who looked like she walked straight out of a Hooters calendar. No biggie, right? Wrong. Because an hour later, he's announcing to everyone, and I mean everyone, including his mom's best friend Karen, who was there for some reason, that I'm too boring and don't know how to have fun anymore. Then he literally walks out with that girl, just leaves, takes my car keys from my purse, yeah, we came in my Honda Civic, and bounces. I stood there like an idiot, mascara probably running down my face, while everyone pretended not to stare. Thank God for my girl Megan, who drove me home in her Jeep while I ugly cried the whole way. But here's where it gets good, folks. See, Jake might have thought I was boring, but boring people tend to be really good at 3 things: saving money, planning ahead, and protecting their assets. And baby, I had been doing all 3. First thing Monday morning, I called our landlord Rick. Now Rick and I go way back. I helped his daughter with her college essays last year, and he owed me one. Turns out only my name was on the lease. Jake? Just an authorized occupant. One quick conversation later, and Rick's changing the locks that afternoon. Then I hit the bank. We had a joint checking account, stupid, I know, and a joint savings account where I'd been putting away money for our future. Guess whose name was the primary on both accounts? Yep, this boring girl right here. I transferred every last cent to my personal account at Chase, all $23,847 of it. That's right, I'd been saving like crazy while Jake was blowing money on bottle service at Sidebar and those ridiculous Supreme drops. His stuff? I packed it all up nice and neat in those heavy-duty trash bags from Home Depot. Left them on the porch with a sweet little note. Hope she's more exciting than these garbage bags. XOXO. Your boring ex. The texts started rolling in Tuesday night. First, it was confusion. Babe, my key doesn't work? Then anger. WTF did you do to our accounts? Then desperation. Please, can we talk? I made a mistake. Turns out Blondie wasn't interested in housing a suddenly broke 27-year-old who'd been coasting on his girlfriend's financial responsibility. Who would have thought? But wait, it gets better. Jake worked at this fancy tech startup downtown. You know, one of those places with beanbag chairs and a cereal bar. Well, guess who handled all his professional development applications and kept his LinkedIn updated? Yep, boring old me. And guess who forgot to renew his certifications that were due last month? Not boring old me. 3 weeks later, and my sources tell me, shout out to my girl Katie who works in HR there, that Jake got demoted from senior developer to, wait for it, junior support specialist. That's a fancy way of saying he answers phones and resets passwords now. Updated. Okay, so it's been about 6 weeks since everything went down, and let me tell you, karma doesn't just knock. Sometimes it kicks down the door wearing steel-toed boots. Remember how I mentioned Jake got demoted? Well, apparently that was just the beginning of his downward spiral. My friend Katie, the HR queen, gave me the full tea last weekend over margaritas at Chevy's. Turns out our boy Jake had been skating by on my work for months. All those presentations that impressed his boss? I made those PowerPoints, those brilliant solutions he proposed in meetings? Yeah, those came from our late-night brainstorming sessions where I basically solved his work problems while he played Call of Duty. Without his personal and free IT consultant, Jake started bombing hard, like forgetting to back up client data. Before a system migration level of bombing. Cost the company about $50K in damages and emergency recovery. They couldn't fire him because of some technicality in his contract, but they sure as heck could make his life miserable. But here's where it gets juicy. Remember Blondie from the party? Her name's Madison, of course it is, and she's actually married to a personal trainer named Brad who owns 3 CrossFit gyms in the area. Jake had no clue until Brad showed up at his apartment. Well, his friend Dennis's couch, since that's where he's been crashing, at 6 a.m. last Tuesday. Dennis sent me the security cam footage. Brad's about 6'4", built like The Rock's stunt double, and he was not happy. The conversation went something like this. according to Dennis, who was hiding in his bathroom. Brad. You the dude who was with my wife at Todd's party? Jake. What? Brad. Madison, blonde. You left with her. Jake. Oh God, she said she was single. Brad. Yeah? Well, she says a lot of things, like how she was at her sister's that night. No fists were thrown. Disappointing, I know. But Brad made it crystal clear that Jake needed to stay far away from Madison. He also mentioned something about knowing people who could make Jake's life uncomfortable. Jake hasn't left Dennis's apartment except for work since then. Meanwhile, I'm thriving. Like, actually thriving. Used some of that saved money to finally start my online boutique I'd been dreaming about. You know what's funny? Jake always said my business ideas were too safe and uninspiring. Well, my boring Etsy shop selling? Customized planners and organization tools made $4,000 in its first month. Turns out other boring people like me really appreciate good organization. I also treated myself to a solo trip to Tulum. Posted all the pics on Instagram, me sipping mojitos on the beach, swimming in cenotes, living my absolute best life. Jake viewed every single story. He even tried to react with the fire emoji to my bikini pic, but I had already blocked him by then. The best part? His mom called me last week. His mom. She wanted to know if I'd reconsider taking him back because, and I quote, "He's learned his lesson and he's absolutely miserable without you." She also mentioned he's been working at an Amazon warehouse on weekends just to make rent money. I told her as politely as possible that her son made his choice, and I've made mine. She understood but asked if I could at least unblock him so he could apologize. I said I'd think about it. I won't. The thing is, I'm not even angry anymore. I'm grateful. If Jake hadn't pulled that stunt, I'd still be playing mommy to a grown man who couldn't appreciate what he had. I'd still be the boring girlfriend who handled all the adult responsibilities while he lived in his fantasy world. Now, I wake up in my peaceful apartment, check my business orders, hit my Pure Barre class, and grab coffee at Blue Bottle without worrying about anyone else's drama. My savings account is growing again, my credit score just hit 800, and I'm actually dating a bit. Nothing serious yet, but there's this cute guy from my pottery class who actually owns his own condo and remembers to file his taxes without help. Revolutionary, right? Oh, and get this. Last week I ran into Todd, party host extraordinaire, at Whole Foods. He looked super uncomfortable and tried to duck into the cereal aisle, but I caught him. He mumbled something about how messed up that night was and how Jake's been banned from future parties because nobody wants that drama. Apparently, I wasn't the only one who thought Jake's behavior was trash. Updated. All right, friends, we've reached peak drama and I need to share this insanity with y'all. Because I literally cannot even right now. So last night I'm at Target, where else would I be on a Thursday evening, picking up some organizing bins for my business when I feel someone staring at me. You know that creepy feeling when someone's burning holes in the back of your head? Yeah, that. I turn around and there's Jake, looking like he hasn't slept in a month, wearing a wrinkled Amazon delivery vest and basketball shorts, in January, in Portland. He tries to approach me in the home goods aisle, the audacity, and starts with this whole speech he clearly practiced in the mirror. Something about making the biggest mistake of his life, and how I'm the best thing that ever happened to him. I'm standing there holding a marble Lazy Susan, deciding whether to laugh or call security. But then he drops to one knee, in Target, in front of the throw pillows, and pulls out a ring box. Y'all, I cannot make this up. It's not even a real ring. It's one of those cubic zirconia things from the jewelry counter that's usually on sale for like $39.99. He's there, on one knee in his delivery uniform, proposing to me with costume jewelry while some poor Target employee is trying to restock the candles and pretending not to watch this train wreck. "Sarah," he says, voice all shaky, "I know I messed up. I know I called you boring. But boring is good. Boring is stable. Boring means someone who'll take care of me. I mean us. Will you marry me? Take care of him?" The jokes write themselves. People. I stood there for a solid 10 seconds, partly in shock, partly because I was trying not to drop the Lazy Susan on his head. Then I said as calmly as possible, "Jake, get up. People are staring." He doesn't get up. Instead, he starts crying. Crying in Target. The security guard starts walking over, probably thinking I'm being harassed, which, fair. "Please," he begs. "Madison meant nothing. You're everything. I can't afford my apartment. I mean, I love you. I need you." Did he just admit he wants me back because he's broke? Yes. Yes, he did. I put down my shopping basket, looked him straight in the eye, and said, "You know what's boring, Jake? This whole performance. You had 4 years to propose. You had 4 years to appreciate what we had. You chose to humiliate me in front of our friends and leave with another woman. That wasn't a mistake. That was a choice. And now I'm making mine. Then I picked up my basket, walked around him, still on one knee BTW, and headed to checkout. The cashier, bless her heart, gave me a fist bump and whispered, "You dropped this, queen," while pretending to scan an imaginary crown. Jake followed me to the parking lot, still in full meltdown mode. He was going on about how he's been staying on different couches, how his car got repossessed. Apparently he was leasing a BMW he couldn't afford, who knew? And how he's been eating nothing but ramen and leftover pizza from his delivery runs. Then he drops the real bomb. Madison's husband, Brad? Turns out he owns part of the tech company Jake worked for. Small world, right? Brad made some calls, and now Jake's basically blacklisted from every decent tech job in Portland. His LinkedIn looks like a disaster movie. The last thing he said, before I drove away, "But where am I supposed to go?" I rolled down my window and said, "I don't know, Jake, figure it out. Maybe try being less boring." Then I drove off, blasting Taylor Swift's "We Are Never Getting Back Together," because sometimes life really is that poetic. Got home to find 47 missed calls, 132 texts, and a Venmo request for $20 for gas money from him. The audacity knows no bounds. Final update. It's been 6 months now, and I need to give y'all the final update because this story deserves its Hollywood ending. Jake's working full-time at the Amazon warehouse now. Dennis kicked him out after the Target incident. Apparently crying in retail stores was the final straw. And last I heard, he's renting a room from some sketchy Craigslist ad in Gresham. His Instagram went private, but mutual friends tell me it's just pictures of his meal prep containers and motivational quotes about grinding. Madison and Brad? Still married, surprisingly. She's pregnant now, and they moved to Seattle. Jake found out through Facebook and had another meltdown, this time at Buffalo Wild Wings during happy hour. Todd was there and said it was embarrassing for everyone involved. As for me, my business is killing it. Just hired my first employee and moved into an actual office space. That pottery class guy I mentioned? We're officially dating now. His name's Marcus, he's an architect, and get this, he does his own laundry and knows how to cook more than just microwave burritos. Revolutionary stuff. The best part? His ex is actually normal. They ended things mutually, and she's invited to our game nights. No drama, no public humiliation, no surprise spouses, just healthy adult relationships. Turns out that's not boring at all. It's peaceful. Oh, and Jake's mom still texts me sometimes, mostly recipes and pictures of her garden. She apologized for his behavior and said I deserved better. She was right. Last week, I bought myself a new car, a Tesla Model 3, paid in cash. It's red, it's gorgeous, and it's all mine. Sometimes when I drive past that Amazon warehouse, I think about honking, but then I remember, the best revenge isn't being petty, it's being happy, and honestly, I've never been happier to be boring. Thanks for following this wild ride, Reddit. Remember, if someone calls you boring for being responsible and having your life together, they're really just telling you they're not mature enough to appreciate you. Let them go find their excitement elsewhere while you build your empire. Peace. Out!